Our first taste of the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT was up Goodwood Hill when stunt driver Paul Swift gave us a joyride. That weekend it was the fastest production car in the shootout, beating off a McLaren 720S GT3X and a heavily modified Subaru WRX STI by half a second. It completed the 1.17 mile hill climb in 61.9 seconds, and to say it left a lasting impression would be an understatement. 4 years later, we have one on test. This car in entry level, guys, starts from £43,840, and we were big fans of it when we had it on test, giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So on paper, the flagship all-wheel drive GT model looks even better, especially having experienced firsthand what Swifty could do with it. It starts from £67,050, and for that you get uprated suspension and brakes and a track engineered drive mode. The GT is marked out by its special front grille and unique front and rear bumpers, but exclusive to this model is the Rally Pack as fitted to our test car. And let's be honest, if you can afford to shell out this kind of money, an extra £2,250 is nothing, right? It gets you a lot though, such as this exclusive grabber yellow paint, which I rather like, but I appreciate is a bit Marmite. Same with the rather large rear spoiler and bonnet racing stripes and side graphics. But these 19-inch wheels, if you're a child of the 70s or 80s like myself, you can't help but love them because they're so reminiscent of the iconic Compomotive TH alloys. Unlike the 20-inch wheels fitted to the GT model, which are also 1 inch wider than the standard Mustang Mach-E and shod in bespoke Pirelli tyres with a specific compound and tread pattern to cope with the extra power, these rims are actually wrapped in all-terrain tyres, so both have their pros and cons really. What else? Oh yes, you also get underbody shields should you also wish to rally it. Not unique to the GT, but just a feature of the Mach-E I feel I should mention is the door handles, in that there isn't any. Instead, it relies on electric latches that open using the vehicle's key fob, a connected smartphone, or a digital keypad located on the door, and critically, only when the battery has enough charge to pop the doors. Now, this design feature has now been accused of being a defect, with a handful of owners in California filing a lawsuit against Ford because if the battery is dead, the only way to get into it is by accessing the front where the battery is located and charging it enough so that the doors function again. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Anyway, I digress. Inside you get rally embossed Ford Performance seats with gloss white inserts to tie in with those on the steering wheel, and also the white stitching, which does a great job of breaking up what is an otherwise pretty mundane black interior. What you really want to know is how fast it goes, right? Well, it has just over 700 pound-foot of torque and a stonking 480 brake horsepower, propelling you from 0 to 62 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds before topping out at 124 miles per hour. Not only does the performance surprise me in a car of this size and weight, but so does the handling and the steering, which feels nicely weighted and it's really quite responsive. The car uses specially tuned coil springs and anti-roll bars and gets Magnum Ride adaptive dampers, which do an excellent job of reining in its mass on the move. It's also raised by 20mm, and it certainly feels a lot more settled than the standard Ford Mustang Mach-E, ironing out the lumps and craters beautifully. The powertrain is configured to progressively increase the rearward balance of torque distribution as you cycle through whisper, active and untamed drive modes respectively, adjusting the driving characteristics between sympathetic front-wheel drive biased SUV and dynamic rear-wheel drive biased sports coupe. Whisper is probably the best mode if you don't want to spin the wheels up every time you put your foot down, and is just far more civilised. That said, it is sometimes fun to unleash the untamed drive mode and see how exactly you can get it in opposite lock on fast corner exits. It's certainly more powerful than most other EVs we've had on test. It's when you get the back end out that you really start to feel its 2-ton mass, however. And for that reason, we didn't try it in Rally Sport Drive mode because it really is very eager to step out, which is commendable and stupid at the same time in something that weighs this much. Luckily, the high performance Brembo brake setup that comes with the GT is rather adept at hauling in all that power. There are no steering wheel paddles to adjust brake regen, just a one pedal mode which is accessed through the screen and may annoy some people, along with the digitally synthesized engine noise which comes on when you're in the untamed drive mode. Personally, I don't mind either. I think they both work very well. Inside, no one is going to complain about feeling cramped, with plenty of room for 5 adults, heaps of storage, a reasonable 402-litre boot, and a frunk to stow away the charging cables. Some of the switchgear is shared with other Ford models, which feels a little bit low rent for the price of the car. But overall, the look is clean and modern, and there's a nice mix of faux leather, soft touch plastics and textiles. The 15.5-inch touchscreen sits right in the middle of the dash, and it's coupled with Ford's latest Sync 4A infotainment, which is responsive and easy to use, and there's a great big knob here to control the volume, to crank up that Bang & Olufsen 10-speaker system, or alternatively control your cabin's temperature. There's a smaller 10.2-inch driver's display here, which basically brings up all of the vital information. Alongside all of the latest safety, comfort and convenience features, it has something called Ford Blue Cruise, which is a hands-free, eyes-on driver assistance technology. But here's the catch. A monthly subscription fee is required, and it's only a worthwhile investment if you frequently drive on the UK's motorways, because that is the only place which you can use the Level 2 autonomous driving assistant. It does work really quite well, but I do think that holding the steering wheel gives you a real sense of being connected to the car's wheels, and that by just removing that, it could really reduce the driver's attention. I mean, it's really clever tech, but I don't think it can tell if your mind is wandering off in another direction. The other figure you'll be interested in is range. The 91 kilowatt hour battery gives you 316 miles officially, which means a real world range of about 270, and can charge up to 150 kilowatts, so takes 36 minutes to juice from 10 to 80%. In a world of soulless looking electric SUVs, the Mustang Mach-E GT certainly stands out, even more so with the Rally Pack. It's what the EV market is missing and adds a real dose of excitement. It's also spacious and practical, fully loaded with kit, and has a respectable range considering its performance. But for £69,300 with the Rally Pack, it's £17,310 more than the top of the range Tesla Model Y, £11,165 more than the Kia EV6, £4,290 more than the Hyundai IONIQ 5N. And while the GT is a quicker, better handling, comfier and cooler looking machine than the base car, I'm not sure it justifies the fact it costs 63% more. As much as we like it, we think the Select rear-wheel drive model is the one to pick.